Oh, we got to make this make sense.
God is not good. God is not morally. According to whose tenet?
According to my evaluation, right? So anytime we say something's good, we're expressing an opinion about whether we think it's good.
So the caller's question is, God is immoral according to whose standard?
According to my evaluation, right?
The problem is that an evaluation is not a standard, but rather the evaluation appeals to a standard in order to make a judgment. So really, the caller's question was never answered. So the host just trudges along with the assumption that he and the caller have the same sense of reasoning for the conclusion that they have, but simply they are both not being guided by the same thing. Standards guide your evaluation. See, the caller, he bases his evaluation on the belief in God, the same God that the host claims to be immoral. But the host's claim of immorality, according to himself, is guided by or based on his own evaluation, the evaluation that he claims to be the standard on which he's being guided by. So let's get this right. His standard is his evaluation, which is guiding his evaluation. So my evaluation of good and evil is what I use to evaluate good and evil? That makes no sense. So the question is, what is the standard that is being used by the host? Is his standard of authority? Is it from general consensus? Is it tradition? If it's authority, is he the authority? If it's general consensus, then his sense of morality is inconsistent because it changes with the people, it changes with the time. And if it's tradition, good luck with that one, because then that implies that the morality was passed down or handed to you, which then circles back to who did you get it from? By whose standard? The question that the caller asked that was never answered.
And I think God is not morally good. I've got an understanding of what goodness means, which in any other context you wouldn't question, right?
Well, here we are, leading with assumptions. If your claim of understanding goodness is based on your evaluations, I still don't know if you actually understand what is or isn't good, because an evaluation is not a standard. It's an evaluation. An evaluation can lead you to a conclusion, but if there's no standard being applied or appealed to, then your conclusion ultimately means nothing, which means that your conclusion is just subjective, it's arbitrary, it's unanchored, it's meaningless. So what is your standard of goodness based on? What is the standard that is guiding you? Because your standards give meaning to conclusions. A conclusion only has weight if it's grounded in criteria, measured against expectations, justified by norms or benchmarks. Otherwise, you just have an opinion floating around in space. Meaningless articulations of meat machines that are just buzzing and bumping around the universe into each other, only responding to chemical reactions that are happening in a gray, fat mass surrounded by calcified tissue that we call brain. We are a lot more than just that. Come on now.
If we looked at 100 different people and we read descriptions of how they behaved, and then you and I sat down and labeled them as a good, not good, and let's imagine the descriptions weren't subtle. Some of them were like, gives to charity a lot.
That's good, but why?
Dotes on their grandchildren.
That's good, but why?
Likes, looking after other people. We go, oh, that's good.
But why? Do you see what I'm getting at?
If one of them was like, habitual serial killer, likes cutting the heads off animals, we go, oh, okay, yeah, not good. And
why do you classify that as not good?
And we would agree on all of them. There would be no difference of opinion between.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because the difference in opinion would be the reason as to why we agree or disagree on these things in the first place. Like, for real, if the caller's conclusion is based on a standard, then we can conclude that his standard guided his evaluation. But if the host's conclusion is based on his evaluation, we have to find out what was the standard that guided his evaluation. Because again, an evaluation is not a standard. It's not a fixed expectation. It is not a benchmark. So even though we may agree on something, it does not mean that we agree on it for the same reason, because having the same conclusion does not mean that you got there the same way. Like, check this out, right? Sheila and Jenny both lost 20 pounds. Sheila went to the gym. Jenny was smoking crack. Same conclusion, same outcome, different method. And look, if I'm being a devil's advocate on this, isn't it true that people have the capacity to do evil and good acts? Can't a serial killer donate a lot to charity? Can't someone who likes cutting the heads off animals also dote on their grandchildren, or whatever that word was? Sounded good, I might use it later. Can't the God that you claim to be immoral give you life and free will in order to say these things about him? I mean, he comes into the world as a real historical figure who walked this earth to die by crucifixion for the sins of the world, knowing that people for whom he did this for would ultimately deny him and call it all nonsense, and to call him immoral for reasons that we humans probably just don't understand in the grand scheme of everything. And it's not to say that these things are not there. It's not to dismiss them or excuse these things that we do see, because suffering is very real. But suffering and the effects of sin is going to be there whether you believe in God or you don't. Just because you don't believe in God won't get rid of a Karen. She gonna be there asking for that manager. How do you deal with this? Naturally. How do you deal with these things? Theologically. How do you deal with it? Period. Because if you're coming from a natural sense, then all of these things really don't matter. If the reason for life and why we exist and why we do what we do is just a result of a bunch of cosmic accidents, then none of it really matters. Why even have an opinion on it in the first place? But the fact that we're able to recognize that it's there tells us that there is a problem that needs to be fixed. And who do you call on to fix a problem? Your Savior, because they're saving you from a problem that we're able to recognize. And the God in whom we ridicule and turn away from had a solution from before the foundations of the world were laid. A solution to the problem of evil, a solution to the problem of suffering, a solution to it all.
Take the kind of standards that we would employ in an operation like that, and now we're going to apply them to the character of God.
That sounds great, but one question: what standard are you appealing to in order to judge between what is right and what is wrong? Are you appealing to authority, customs and tradition, general consent? What is your standard? The caller believes in God. You don't believe in God. The caller appeals to authority, his belief in a God who is good. So the caller actually is appealing to what is good. But what is it that you are appealing to? Because if it's general consensus or tradition and customs, you have a problem. And here's why. At one time, I live in America, there was a general consent that it was okay to enslave people that looked like me. It was okay to insult and degrade my family. It was okay to make racist depictions and cartoons of my people. It was a general consensus to keep my family, my lineage, separated from everyone else and to not allow us to vote. It was a general consensus that dignity was just not that necessary, despite the many achievements and inventions made by us. This general consensus led to a tradition of evil passed against the people who were just trying to make a living for themselves. Us Christians are appealing to an authority who is the creator of all things and whose image we are created in. And because that creator is good, the image of him is good also. And because morality is in proximity to the good that God has done, we can immediately recognize when something is not good. We don't look at a volcano and just call it a disaster because it's erupting, unless it's actually going to destroy some people. Human beings, because human beings have value, and that value is tied to a limitless, powerful God. But if God does not exist, then nothing is either good or bad, because everyone's reasoning would just be an opinion and would differ dramatically. There would never be any kind of peace or understanding of it, because who would be able to say who's right or who's wrong? So look, there's a lot more to this video that I'm not going to get into, and I'm not making this video to disparage Mr. John Cohen, because he seems like a pretty decent dude and he is my brother in humanity. However, I am making this video because I do find it a bit intriguing when I see people who say that God is imaginary or that he does not exist, then complain about it. I mean, think about it. They claim that God is imaginary and then spend their lives trying to prove it. But I'm on the stance that God does give us plenty of evidence that he actually is real. And all of this is really based on evidence. Just like a reliable car provides evidence that is going to get you to your next destination, there is no proof that your brakes won't fail the next time you get in your car. So really, there's no proof or hardcore proof for anything. Really, there's just evidence. And the evidence is what would lead you to a likely conclusion. So you should follow the evidence where it leads. And if it leads you to a place that says God is real, you should believe in him.